All right. A very good morning, late evening. It's always great when the lights go out in Georgia. Not in Georgia, but I think I heard a song one time. Goes the lights go out in Georgia or something. I was listening to a little Coast to Coast. The the show. It came on at 10 o'clock, and then the rebroadcast because I went out for like an hour. I go try to you know go out and be amongst the people, on a Friday night, and like constant reminder of your age and your generation that is left behind. Uh, you know, I'm gonna jump right into this topic because it's like it's been bugging me for a couple hours. So I listened to a lot of interesting, audiobooks, such as things like No More Mr. Nice Guy and The Way of the Superior Man. And I also listened to a lot of like entrepreneurial wealth people that made a lot of money, and they talk, and I keep it on, and I go to sleep, and I woke up and I listened to Oprah Oprah Winfrey, like, and it kind of just, you know, I'm just gonna tell it to you straight. You know, her, she's full of like lies and half truths is what I'm getting off of her, and I'm gonna elaborate on this. Did she work hard? Did she educate herself? Did she come from this and that, what she went through, and worked her way up? Yes, 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 and yes. But she, some of the things that she says, I listen very carefully sometimes, and there's things that slip through the cracks. And it's not like a slip of the tongue thing. Some things in there that it's backwards thinking. I'm gonna talk about this. Lemon ginger tea, the organic one's pretty good. A little cold, so I don't have a cold, but so cold outside, and I feel it in my luxury apartment. So okay, on her about what I heard. Now she talks. She goes, "Whoa, I have this incredible painting in my living room. It's the first thing when I open up the door." It's called or titled. I forget the artist. It's irrelevant. It's called The Highest Bidder or something like that. And it's like something that shows some type of slave mother and a daughter being auctioned off or something. That's the idea of the painting. And she goes, I have it, the first thing when I walk in my door, I leave it to it's positioned to where I can see this thing, and it's a constant reminder of what I went through. And the second tip, what I went through, like now number one, look, I'm Jewish, what I went. That'd be like saying I went through the Holocaust. I went through. Actually, my grandparents went through it. That raised me. So but it's not. I didn't go through it. Okay. And I know what this is. I know what this is. What this, and she says, oh, about removing evil, and the everything must be brought out into the light. You hear these people all talking about beings of light. I know what this is. Okay, these people, they have so much money, so they think like they're beyond like human. You know, they're trying to transcend, and everything else is below. They want to go to the light. You know, and I'm not going to elaborate on this because it's not worth it. But as far as she's concerned, you know, like again, you have to understand people that have a lot of money like that, and I mean a lot of money. They can manipulate everything, everything. They have so much power and leverage, and they can basically get like just about anything they want, just about. You know, if it's a law that needs it, they need it going their way. You know, they can leverage to try to get it. If it can be done through their power and their money. You know, that's what it is. That's what it is. What's the point? You know, like that. That's why. You know, they go out and that's what the creation of wealth and power really at a certain point is. It's not so, well, okay, well, once I have 250 million, if I get to 400, then I can do this. I can't do it now. It's kind of like irrelevant. It's irrelevant. They can do anything. You know, you understand. You know, see, but most people, how can you fathom this when most people, to them, like, $10,000 is a sizable amount of money. Do you have any idea how much $10,000 is to a billionaire? Now, there's these people. They say, "Well, it's a lot of money even to me." You know, well, a lot of people have sicknesses then or something, because that would be like saying like a penny, 5 cents is a lot to me. You know, like I got a fucking it's nothing. You know, I could give it away all day if I need it. You know, to help somebody out. And that brings me to another point. She talks about, "Whoa, when I started to, make multi millions a year." It's all publicized, how much I make. And then people like this woman came to me outside my house and crying, "Ooh, like my husband left me. Can you help me? Like $500." And she talks like Oprah talks like she was taken advantage of. Like, oh my God, yeah, this woman, she conned me out of $500. Look, you're if you should be telling anybody anything, is not about how you shouldn't be taken advantage of over 5 cents. So it's like me, somebody coming to my doors, like at wit's end and going, "Hey, like I'm about to die here. I need a glass of water." It costs 5 cents or something like that. It really is. You're not understanding the grand scope of of help, especially when you're on this planet for such a short period of time. And that's more important than anything. Like literally, I'm not exaggerating. She could go out. You could be throwing money all day to if you're a billionaire, you would die first. You would die a long, long time before you could. If you lived till 100 years, you couldn't give away all your money. You couldn't give it away. You couldn't give it away. It's that much. But you see, these people, they love to like, use, this type of like, no, I'm like you kind of thing. I'm rich, but I'm like, I relate to you. I relate to you. Don't fucking no, 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 no. The only time I think I heard a story, she gave a childhood friend, $1 million so she could feel what it was like to be a millionaire. And it's a child, somebody like somebody super close. And it made like the big news. Oh my God, she gave her $1 million. Like, you know, it's nothing. It's nothing to somebody like this. Nothing. It's nothing. It's everything to most people. Like because most people, they work there like they have nothing. But you don't understand the wealth that you're talking about here. You have no conception of what a billionaire, how powerful something like that is. You have no idea how somebody that's worth 500 million or 100 million, you have no idea of what you're talking about here. Okay? It's beyond your level of thinking. You can't even comprehend. I was going to, this movie, the Wrinkle in Time, they talk about, the dimensions and the Tesseract, being yeah, it's an interesting theory. I'm not going to get into this, but look it up if you want to know. They're saying that the dimensions, the height, width, length, and the time, the fourth, and then the tesseract would be the fifth. What was it? A cube inside of a square. You know, my point, how that relates to what I'm talking about is You cannot fathom, the depth of, the intergalactic or interstellar travel through, if they can get here, these beings, what they're doing. You can't fathom it. I watched a thing on the SR-71. They decommissioned the plane. They retired it in 1990. Final flight was like LA to Washington, D.C. in 1 hour and 4 minutes. I mean, thing was going what? Faster than 2,000 miles an hour. It's like, like you could see it, if it was flying, it was going that fast, but that's fathomable. What I'm talking about is unfathomable. And, the wealth of these people, they give the generic thing. Oh, once I started making money, all of these cousins and friends I never heard of came out of the woodwork talking to me. Hey, you know what? If they're real friends, just ask them how they're doing. If they ask you for anything, so why are you contacting me now? What are you talking about? Eliminate them. What I mean, eliminate them. Don't talk. Just brush them off. Like you don't. People, the people that look. There's people that really need help and they have something to offer. See, this is what pisses me off because there's some very powerful people out there, and I get clumped into that group of getting pushed out of the bottom. Remember that woman that said, "Oh, you came to Oprah, needed 500, asked her for $500." I got a fucking movie script, and I was reaching out to very powerful people, and they're making me look like I'm the beggar, like I got something to offer, something really beautiful, and the problem herein lies that you know basically we made some of these people so through listen, Oprah is made through people, like in the movie studios, I'm sorry, television studios that pushed her all the way up. And something I noticed, I watched very carefully, is like there's all these just all women in the crowd, and there might be some of these fagulas, sitting there, like, oh yeah, but she has no men, like what, and you know what I mean, like in the crowd for a reason. This is by design. This is not like by no, no, no. These people are very until they know. They don't want their anything to be challenged, what they have to say, and that's what happens when once. Now she couldn't do that when she was toward. Once she started like really making some real money, then she could control all those factors. But remember, like she was talking about, she had like KKK guys, she had like crazies on their shows. Yes, she had these people that challenged her thinking. I'm not siding with those idiots. Of course, they're um, I believe in equality. I believe in fair rights. I'm studying this for my doctorate right now. We're learning about, equity and equality in the school systems. This is really important. Like factors. There's issues of transgenders. Are saying, oh, should they compete in Texas? Should they be allowed to compete in sports? It's not that simple because if you did, you allowed like a man, basically, of somebody born as a man to compete in a woman's, in the Olympics, the history books will be rewritten. There's still men. Their testosterone levels, their bone density, their power. They blow women's records into the. They wouldn't exist if a transgender was allowed to compete. So now in like 8 years old playing baseball or something, it's a little different story. Having a boy that's a girl, transgender, whatever, play on the baseball team, which was the issue in this thing that I read. That's that was I think it was somebody in Texas. Somebody, they said no, 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 they shouldn't be allowed. That raised a hell of an issue because it's like, why? It's a little kid. But when they grow up, it's a different story. Again, as I just mentioned, the Olympics, it's a bigger deal. I don't have the answer for it because should they be allowed to compete if they're not really women? I don't. I say no. Because if the Olympics, like it's unfair. It's unfair. It's basically saying transgender. Somebody born a man and can train like a man, but can but perceived to look like a woman and win like they could win the gold medal, in a javelin throw, in a thing of power, like anything real fairly easily because it's a fucking dude, and So it's not, I'm not questioning equality. I'm questioning the issue of strength and having an unfair advantage. That's something that will have to be examined by the IOC, you know, International Olympic Committee. Um, but anyway, about the Oprah thing, that really, like, she's talked about that. Man, when she said that, it was, oh, it just reminds me like where I'm from. You're a fucking, instead of just talking now, we're living in the now. Remember I talked about this, not focusing on the wake. I'm not saying forget about history. I'm learning about, I knew about the board of Brown versus Board of Education. Like it came out in the '60s. Now Oprah wasn't even. She was probably what, in third grade, if that. Just like that girl, if that age. She didn't know. They didn't know what the fucking thing is. You're a little kid. You're taught. You're told, no, you can only go to you can't go to the white school. You go to the all black school. They don't go, well, why? They don't question. A 3-year-old, 6-year, whatever, a third grader doesn't question anything. They just do. Like what you're told to fucking do. Now, that was, of course, that was abolished. The schools, the Brown versus Board of Education, and they got rid of this separate but equal nonsense, and everybody's equal. Everybody's put in the same, going able to public schools, whatever. So that's great, but somebody like that to kind of like say that they went through the slavery. No, 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 no. Okay, it's ridiculous as saying I was around during the Holocaust. It's nonsense. Now I'm educated about it. It's an awful thing that happened. Same with slavery. Same with the separate but equal. It's awful. I'm all for. I'm proud. I'm happy. I live in equality. Listen, there were two black guys that started me, and they were my mentors. Okay, in dance. If it wasn't for them, I would have never gotten on television. I never would have pursued my dream. They gave me hope. Okay. TC and Crescendo. It wasn't for those guys. I didn't care if they were black or anything. They just happened to be. Just that Oprah thing. And it doesn't matter. It's black, whatever. It's that. I know it's that wealth, that delusional control power of extreme wealth. They got nothing. They got so much money. They got nothing to do, but they want to like tweak and warp thinking. That's what they want, and they do it very manipulative. I know I can't say it right. Manipulatively. It's very, and it's very easy to stir the sheep, to the direction. If you're the shepherd, it's like, hey, follow along the other sheep. Yeah, yeah, I'm telling you, this is the way to think. This is the way to go. And she's one of those. With her television network now and a book club thing. Like it's the women. They all, they don't question. They're not. They go along because number one, she cannot relate to men. There is no fucking way because she's not a man. There's no way. There's no way. That's why there's only women in that crowd. There's some fakeless sometimes, and they are effeminate. Like generally. So they do not it's, again, I see through the cracks. I see through, and I would debate her, and point out those cracks, and somebody. That's why you never see her. She gives these, she does like these college, shows up in there, telling you, look, I came from, I had nothing, and I became. She's never debated like very like because from like, can you imagine with Jordan Peterson? I mean, it's a tear apart, like would fucking make her look like, look, that's all it her, when she talks about that, saying what I went through. She goes, what I went through. That's what she said. She goes, I don't want to forget what I went through. You didn't go through the fucking 1850s. She talks like she goes, I don't want to forget what I went through. That I swear. You listen to this. I heard this on Evan Carmichael, like who talks about this Oprah thing, and she goes, like she's like it really it's told you she was in the third grade during that Brown versus Board of Education decision, if that, probably, maybe a little older, whatever, 8 years old, 10 years old, couldn't be older than that because that was 1964. That's 60 something years ago. How old is she? Yeah. Okay, 58 years ago, whatever. I'm almost 50. I was born in 73. So, it's it's just they warped these people again. They're very powerful and they try to push a warped thinking. Like, and look, what I mean by this, I'm gonna explain this because it's really important. There's a big difference between teaching history and teaching somebody how to think. There's a huge difference. Teaching history allows you to understand what happened. Okay, like yeah, and what it is, it's like you learn history, you draw your own conclusions. No matter what, doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. It's your own thought process. Listen, there's warped people out there that said the Holocaust never happened. They're warped, right? But guess what? They're allowed to formulate their own thinking. But I'm not, and again, I'm not trying to side with this. I'm just talking about that. The point being is that when you learn history, you're learning facts. You're learning about events that happened and that shaped our country, and some things not so good. Some that listen, it was awful. The Japanese, the internment camps. How many people fucking know about that? That happened. In World War II, they were forced. Was it under Roosevelt? I think the people on the West Coast, they're forced. The Japanese Americans, they had nothing. They were living here. They had nothing to do with that. But because they were from Japanese ancestry, they had to sell their businesses, sell their houses. They had to get rid of everything or it taken away very quickly. And they were sent to these internment camps. They're awful. They're like one step above a concentration camp. It was just absolutely terrible. It's an embarrassment to this country of what happened. It's ridiculous, and it's not talked about very often because it's an embarrassment of what happened. But it's part of American history, and it's about 80 years ago. That somewhere around in the 40s, and then once the war was over, a couple years later, they got rid of all these people out, and they had to start anew, whatever. But the point is like there's a big difference between learning about what happened, and then your interpretations and that, and then somebody kind of like one person using, telling you like and trying to get you to think a certain way. I mean, you got to understand this. And that's what these people, they have nothing better. That is there's no other reason for these people when they have that type of wealth and they are in the entertainment business, they're in the media business, and that's all she was, that's all she is. Okay, and I'm not taking anything away of her work ethic and everything. That's great and everything like that, but let's look through the cracks. Let's look through things and let's try to understand why. The question is why? Why are you like trying to push your thought process on people? Do you ever wonder that? Well, because I'm trying to help people. Are you? Are you trying to help people? Is that your definition of help? Because to me, help is not that. It's not just one little thing. It could be anything. Like I said, somebody could be dying of thirst. They give them a glass, or give them a cup of water. Somebody might need money. Their gas is about to get shut. They're at wit's end. It's not always money, but it actually is. It does boil down to money, pretty much everything. But as far as help goes, the point is like it's just very interesting when if they're not, are they real? I don't think so. Like, I just don't see this as far as, these wealthy people. They're really trying to quote unquote help you. I just don't get it. I think what it is, it's just their power play of trying to, uh, uh, try to infect you with their type of thinking. Now that word is kind of hard because it's like, well, you're implying that they're trying to brainwash you, and it's like, well, maybe, maybe that's kind of it could be that. I don't know. I don't have the answers to everything, but I just question their motives. I question the motives when I listen to some of these people. Like, why are you, what are you trying to push on people? Like, you think you're going to educate them? Why you only allow women in your crowd? Why? There's a reason why. Believe me, figure it out on your own. But I know why. I know why. I know why. You know, I can't relate. I don't. You know, I'm not going to really talk about things that were awful that happened really as slavery and that the people were on the selling block for $800 somewhere. But let me tell you something. And this goes on today. There's women, plenty of women that are escorts, and they're all available for their price, whatever it is. Is it $900 an hour? Is it $1,500 an hour? $750 an hour? $475 for half an hour? They're available if the price is right. That's today. Okay. Now I know it's not the same as what happened, during the slavery time. I know that, but I'm trying to illustrate a point. If you're working an hourly wage and you're like a peon and you're making pigeon money, whatever like that, it's I call that modern day slavery. I'm sorry. I'm very, very sorry. It is. It is. How can it not be when you're making peanuts for your time? I watched a special, and this is not, I base shit on facts, not just my own, what's going on, like what I think sounds interesting. Like I back this shit up with research, with references. I'm not going to, list my sources, my cited sources. I do that when I write papers, but I'm just telling you, I watched something on YouTube. It was in Indonesia. It was a sulfur mine today, like, and these fucking clowns, they go in there and they pull the sulfur out, active volcano. You can see the, and they need what they're trying. They're basically taking, because it's sulfuric acid, can be used for lots of things. And these idiots, they go and they walk for miles with this, and they're carrying the fucking shit, you know, tens of pounds of 100 pounds of sulfur. It's like, wow, you think, it looks like gold, well, not doesn't look like gold, but it's like yellowish orange. And you think, wow, what are they getting for this? They're working their asses off. They're working their asses off. And this guy goes, I mean, the narrator goes, it's like seven. I'm sorry, I'm laughing because it's so ridiculous. It's like 17 cents a kilo. I'm trying to think of the conversion rate of kilo to pounds, but it's 17 cents a kilo. Kilo is like real heavy. 17 cents. And they carry like 100 pounds. I remember the guy, they make like $17. They're carrying 150 pounds of fucking salt. I'm looking at this, I'm like, what the fuck? And the guy goes, well, there's not much opportunity here. So it's like, it's either, you do this work, they give you cash, $17 a day, or it's like, it's hard to get, there's nothing else. If you do agriculture work, they get paid once every 2 weeks. It's not that much. And if they do this other type of work, it's once a week. It's like, I sit there and I just, these guys are coughing. They, it's the most unhealthiest thing to breathe that shit in. They're in the God help it, they can tell when the volcano is gonna erupt because you can see there's like gas bubbles start coming up. They know to get the fuck out of there because that means the volcano's gonna blow. You know they can't be in there. You'll be careful if you're in there. You'll be dead. You know. So it's total. I watch this for knowledge, but it is pretty pathetic, to see the way that the world, parts of the world is, and they're tourists that go and they look and they try to give these people a couple bucks, that's nice and everything, but those. So what does it tie into? It's just that's my point. You can't help these people. You can't help these people, okay? And that's the same mentality that these billionaires have. Deep, if you go deep enough, they might come out as philanthropic and they give money to Bill Gates, whatever the foundation they give. I don't know who they're giving. They ain't giving nothing to nothing. They have to. It's forced. They have to pay taxes. That it's either give it to the government or give it to a hospital or something. And that's what it is. They give like 40 whatever. They give them cut some big check and they make a big hado like that Floyd Mayweather. That's exactly what he fucking did. And he comes out there and he's like, I'm helping the kids. I'm helping the kids. You have no choice. You have no choice. Choose a charity or give it back to the government. So he goes, okay, like let's make a little hado about it. He gets these, he gives like these care packages to these, the Boys and Girls Club, and he's there, like signing some autographs. He knows he has no choice. He's not gonna help anyone. He's giving them because he has to. It's like you got the $100 million. You have to give 40. They know. The IRS knows. You got paid 100 million. So it's like the second he gets that check, the IRS goes nine 40%, nine, and you can't. You have to pay. If you don't, like when it gets to that kind of numbers, the IRS. So you're not going to pay. Huh? We have ways to get money from you. Igor, bring bring hammer and sickle and the vase, the vice, and you don't want to, think about what the now, can you imagine? Like, I don't know how it works, like in Russia or Ukraine, but can you imagine, like, this kind of things they don't pay? This, I see, it sounds like a movie. I see the movie where, some guy tried to jip, like, some underground casino, something like that. He goes, so you have choice. You you can keep money and receive hammer, or you cannot get money and we take finger. And you see like what they did. They put the guy's head in a vice and they start turning the vice. Oh my god! Like it's the imagination of what can be done. This remember you watch that movie Walking Tall with The Rock. They cut him up pretty bad. They left him for dead. On the highway or whatever like that. In the casino they got him. They got no payout, no payout. Like, but my point is that that's the way it works. That's the way it works. It pays. Especially when you get up to that level of money, you are, you're paying. You're paying. I already talked about the Ric Flair story, where he probably like let it go for so I was like probably 90,000 a year, and it added up to like 800 grand or something like that. And then at that point, they're like, I don't know if he owns property or whatever, but they will that kind of money is when they come after you. Like it's in the excess of the six digits, the mid to high half million and above. I'm sure you're on their they It's the number. It's definitely is the number when you're up in excess of that. Maybe it's quarter million, but like you get up to like God, you owe them a million. They're gonna get their money off of you, or they're gonna throw you in jail. And that's what they did at Wesley Snipes. Same thing, tax evasion. They probably give him an option to pay, and he just was like, "Nah, I'm not gonna. I'd rather go to jail." And that's what it is. To me, freedom is the most beautiful, most valuable thing we have. Um, I have been incarcerated very briefly a couple times, and it is worst thing that I can imagine. Like it's. I like to walk. You can't. You're even. I'm talking even in a substation. For 3 days, they put you in a very small, cold room for 3 days with bright lights on, and go ahead, you try to sleep with in there when you can't. It's really fucked up. A couple times been arrested. Public intoxication. Don't drink anymore. That's not why I quit. I quit because of the health reasons. I had a pretty bad health scare at 45. Even though doctors didn't tell me to stop drinking, I took the warning signs and I quit. Um, that just you know I listen to all these things and I take from it what I feel is the learning, is the power, is your own interpretation of how it can benefit you, how you can grow, how you can learn from certain people that you might be able to relate with. So this guy Grant Cardone, and he's a pretty shrewd real estate guy. He kind of had a little boost with a property, but he got in Bel Air, like, and he snowballed it, leveraged. So there's no magic there, but it takes to get the ball rolling something that where you're not, where your time's not preoccupied being a schlepper. You don't have time to do this or that, or you don't know where your next meal is coming from. You can't. I mean, leverage on top of leverage. I talked about Arnold's story already. I've talked about all these things, and not, it's timing. You know, before that chasm became kind of borderline ridiculous, like it is now. They're not giving opportunities away for high-paying jobs to make you feel like, wow, I'm willing to give you my time. Like I'm willing to give you 40, 50, 60, 70 hours a week, and you are going to pay me like for real, like that I can really start moving ahead in life. And they don't do that. I mean, what is this commission-based jobs or something? Good luck. The Amazon people, $15 an hour. It's hogwash, man. It's hogwash. That $15 an hour, you ain't owning your own property, you'll never be rich. You'll never be fucking rich. There's no way. There's no way. You can't qualify for a mortgage. You're not making enough. Not here in LA. I see how the game is rigged. Okay. Now there's some people that make it. Yeah, yeah, there are. There are. There's some. There's some. And you know what? The ones that are they got a lot of competition. They ain't sharing any secrets, man. They're not. Why would they? Why would they help you? And this leads me back to the Oprah thing. Why would they help you? Why would they? Why? They're not giving back. They are not going to give back. They're not. They're not. Okay. They are not. They are not. They're holding on to that when they were broke kind of thing in their mind. That's what they're still there. They know they're not that person. They're that person, but they're not that person. I know that's like that's a rhetorical. You know, it doesn't make any sense, but it makes perfect sense if you really think about it. It makes perfect sense. They're not going to give. They're not going to share. You know, not say secrets, but they're not going to like give you an opportunity to become anything. They're not. Or they're rare anomalies. They're these people that you know the door was open and they went through and they struck gold because there was gold to be had at that time. Their timing, their the snowball, like you know, they were around during winter where the snowball like could accumulate. Dude, in the summer there's no snowball. Now I know it doesn't, you know, it's not has nothing to do with weather, but you understand. There's timing factors. There's timing. There's the connection. There's opportunity. This is it's a rare thing. And then when somebody starts moving up, then everybody what they do is they try to get on the bandwagon and push that person forward, you know, so they can make way more. And then the people that are part of that clique can get some of the trickle down. You know, be part. Yeah, I work under her. I'm her producer. Yeah, I'm her hairdresser. They want, you know, that they don't care. You know, push her to 100 million, so that I know that I can, you know, pay for my mortgage. You know, I can make, you know, 3,000 a week now because I'm right under her. I'm helping her. I'm part of her entourage. I understand how all this stuff works. You know how many lawyers there are? You know how many like they're all trying, you know, representing the big clients. They all want the big money. Everybody wants the big money. You know why? Because it takes so much money to become anything in Los Angeles here. And it's not just here. I've been in New York. I've been to Vegas. I've been to Arizona. I've been to Frisco. I don't need to. Like, I know. You don't need to go anywhere. You can look online. You can see what things cost. They're not giving back, okay? Not in the terms of the open-minded giving back that I equate to giving back. My definition of giving back is I write a fucking beautiful movie script and I reach out to dozens and dozens and dozens of powerful people in Hollywood and nobody would give me an interview. Nobody would listen to me or anything. That ain't fucking giving back, okay? They ain't giving back, man. They're not giving back. Do not be fooled. Do not be fooled, okay? Powerful people, they live, you know, and I'm not just talking about the handful of billionaires. Let's go all the way down now to like people that are deca millionaires, maybe less than that. I looked, there's a couple miles from me, a couple miles. How about a couple blocks? They got these super high bushes. You can't even see their house. So big compound properties, whatever they have. You know, I don't know who they are. I don't know how they made their money. They live behind. They live behind. They know they don't want people. They know their targets. They know their potential targets. So people asking them for help and stuff like that. So it's like they want to be here, but they don't want to be seen. Do you blame them? I mean, the question is, do I blame them? No, I don't. But you know, it's like I question opportunity. I question, you know, the fairness of this all. It would be like, you know, if you were like a kid, if you were like in elementary school or something like that, and I'm trying to equate this. This kid's got this giant bag of candy, right? I mean, fucking huge, a giant fucking bag of candy. And, you're saying, hey, what are you gonna do with that giant bag of candy? And the kid's like, I don't know. He says, you think you could give me a couple? And he goes, no. And the kid's like, why? Well, it's my giant bag of candy. Why would I give you any? Because I asked you. You're like, can I a couple? You got a giant bag of candy. Like you don't need it. You don't know what you're gonna do with it. And you just say no. All right. Well, can I have like one? And he goes, no. And that's exactly the if you really think about it, that's the mentality and the way it works in society today. It's the way it works. In Yiddish, we call it umgestopft. They're over, and the person with that giant bag of candy, he knows where there's more. There's more. Like he could go get more if he needs it, and he won't even tell that other kid. Can you tell me where I can get some? No. Why? Because I can't share the secret with you. Because then it's not a secret anymore. How could somebody with advanced degrees apply for dozens of jobs, dozens, in teaching and this and that and this and that, and nobody reach out to you and say, hey, like, or they offer jobs that are insulting. $30,000 a year to teach physical education at a private Jewish school, borderline Beverly Hills. I did this episode months ago. I talked about this. I got so irate about it. I mean, but I just, you are fucking assholes. You're fucking. I hope that the wrath of God punishes you for your stinginess. I hope, it's like remember the Ten Commandments when power of God or the lightning, whatever. I hope it comes down on the owner of that school, like the nerve to offer $30,000 a year. Like you think that for full time job or whatever, it doesn't matter part time. I don't care. It's designed to enslave you. You'll never have nothing to get ahead. There's no way. The nerve. Like I put in, how many years when I went to get my master's degree, and it's like, Now I didn't get the master's degree to hope to get a job. It was a personal accomplishment, but I'm insulted. I'm highly insulted by the thing, and I'm working, as I mentioned, I'm talking about working on my doctorate degree, and I know it's not going to be a big deal. It's not a big deal, but I just this guy Steve told me, I know, can't get upset over things you can't control, and that's why I will not contribute. Look on the back of a dollar bill. See that pyramid? The conspiracy theory um, QAnon. They put you, they glop you, they clump you in some thing that it's because there's no people don't what you see on the mainstream media is what they're only they tell you what you want to hear, or what they want to tell you is anything that'll scare the shit out of you. You know who's really good at this too is Apple News. Oh, they love that's their favorite thing. They love scare, fear. It's coming from Apple News, too. Use their power to scare the shit out of you. It's more of the Moloch, the devil, the rising of their, yeah. I see through the cracks. I see beyond the curtain. I know exactly what it is. People all created this. Apple, made great products. I mean, need to talk, a pad and a watch, whatever. Yeah, yeah. And guess what they do? Guess what they do? They use their manipulation and their leverage to create fear through their, not through their products, but through their service. And it takes a conscious, open mind to really to look and say, hey, why are you doing this? What are you trying to do here? Say sheep, like the sheep don't, no, the sheep don't question. The sheep go where they're told. But I said to myself, what are you doing? Why? Now, it's not my job to stand on the milk crate and try to corral their shit. Hey, don't give them, don't, no. That's not my agenda. My agenda is to realize, and see what's going on, like, and just know that I am not a fool. That's what, like, these people, they try to do. They talk to the mainstream, and now, I'm not saying I side with everything that QAnon said. I'm not saying I agree with the flat earthers. The 9/11 truthers are, that they, a lot of them make some very, very great points. But I challenge their thinking also, because you need definitive proof. It's like, you want to believe something, and you look on the internet and you're trying to find, there's something that might. I am, nor, I have a friend, he's a proud Democrat, like Pelosi is there. Yeah, he's the biggest crooks of all. You have no fucking idea. He doesn't know anything. He doesn't know. It's all he knows is he doesn't like Trump. He doesn't like that arrogant kind of thing. He says, look, I listen very carefully now. There's a lot of things I don't like that he says, he's trying to put down Biden, elevate himself up. I understand that. I don't agree with that. But he makes some very valid points about the media's control manipulation. And the problem is that shit gets pushed to the wayside because of, like, of his boasting, of his arrogance, toward the him being reelected. But you take from it what there is there. It's beyond. It's you have to really understand why things work. And it shows when he was, like, dealing with the Saudis and whatever, going to Europe and stuff like that. There's, the mechanisms of control. There, David Icke talks about this. Now, I'm not saying he's 100% right, but the whole idea is to try to gain an understanding that the it's just not so simple as, okay, your elected officials, they can decide, and that's it. And it's like the government, and it's simple. It's not. It's not that. It's not that. There's a lot that is beyond, and beyond. And Ike talks about this. Like, he tries to open up your mind. Open up your mind to your thing. I'm he's not bad. Like, he really wants to understand. Like, and he does. Like, he's not easily fooled. But I have a couple friends, and these guys are just like, they're total sheep, brainwashed. There's one guy, he's so much of a sheep that he his head, he's an ostrich. His head is in the sand. that, you know, it doesn't matter. Like he doesn't care because his head is in the sand, you know. And then I have another friend that he's, you know, he hates Trump and he likes the Democrat and he's like Nancy Pelosi. These people, the biggest crooks of it. It doesn't matter. Like he doesn't understand anything. He watches CNN and yeah, whatever they say. He has no idea. Like where I talk about this curtain, he goes, you know, there's a curtain. Do you understand? And he goes, what curtain? What are you talking about? Are you talking about right behind them? And he goes, yeah, it's right behind them, but you don't even see what's behind it. I see what's behind it. It's not that curtain I'm talking about. It's the one in your fucking brain, the one that behind your that you don't see. And he's like, what are you talking about? Exactly. There's no conception of anything. No idea because he's such a, you know, it's like they follow. Do you understand? They follow. They vote, but it doesn't matter. You no fucking idea of anything. You have no fucking idea of anything. You know, and there's such powerful entities like Disney. You know, like they have an agenda. You know, and that's what this whole thing is. This is all about. You know, the whole thing wraps up with that. That's why I called it about the agenda. You know, Walt Disney didn't create. He created the company, but it's you know, these people, they just have absolutely no idea. Like they think they're giving these blacks opportunities by putting some of them on, you know, on television, you know, making the movies about, look, you know, this guy, this movie, he's a star, this black guy, look at, and this, she's the star, this black girl, everything. He's not fooling me. They're not fooling me. Okay. They're not giving opportunity. It's not opportunity. It's not what this is about. Okay. It's not at all. There's a reason. Us all thinking, oh, Bobby Lashley is the WWE champion. They put a black guy there. God forbid, but what if Biden dies and you got your first black woman president? Okay. This whole thing is all designed for a reason. Okay. Thinking they're not treated equally. All came out of this guy that was whatever Minnesota. It doesn't matter. They're saying, oh, see, the unfairness that's been going on. It's you know, of course it was awful what happened. It was awful. But you know, you need to understand something here. That there's a major agenda. There's a major agenda at in its works at play for a reason. Trying to bring back something that should have been, you know, forgotten, not forgotten, but it's like Wayne Dyer said, the wake, it's behind us. The focus forward, but no, trying to recreate something that a generation missed. You weren't around, like, you know, if you're my age, or, you know, you weren't around in the 60s or 50s. You weren't around during the racial inequality. I wasn't either. But the point is, they wanted to have something like this happen. Promoted it, like really, you know, make it a big deal for a certain reason. Okay, that's what it is. That's what it is. That's exactly what it is. I'm not saying I have all the reasons. I don't. I think I don't know. You know, but it's not that simple. It's not about creating a solution to a problem. It's not. It's not. And that's why there's no vaccine for COVID. There's no cure for COVID. I'm sorry. There's no cure. It's not about creating a solution to a problem. not everything is a conspiracy theory. I'm going to say we didn't go to the moon, you know. And if you can prove that beyond a doubt, is that the flag, there's no way to prove to tell you that you can't see the flag on the moon, there's nothing there. Otherwise, you dead argument. It's the flat Earth theories. That's proven through you know, what was it called, sextant, you know, the horizon. You can't, you got nothing to stand on that. The flat Earth, there's nothing to stand on. There's nothing. The JFK assassination thing, I don't have enough knowledge to talk about it. I haven't done enough research not to know. But from what I've heard, you know, and seen it from research and everything like that, you know, there's more to the story. There has to be. The 9/11 thing, I that is by far, you know, there's so much more to that story. There has to be. There has to fucking be. And it was never addressed properly. It was, you know, I can't believe it's as simple as what my friend, you know, really, you know, the narrative of 19 Saudi hijackers, you know, that pulled this thing off, and you know, the buildings came down, and then one, no, and the Bushes had ties to the Bin Laden family. I mean, all the facts and stuff like that. There's just too much. You know, there's so much that hasn't been examined and not talked about. It's just nobody, you know, the truthers, it's a false flag, you know, there was no plane, this and that, and where, okay. And that's the problem, is they're so jaded in this one dimension, like one point, like line, and there's no compromise to, you know, exactly, was there thermite in the buildings, you know, was a you know, was a molten steel that was in the guy, that was a controlled demolition. Where's the fucking, you know, there's no, all that, everything that was disintegrated, there was nothing left over. Completely untrue. There was plenty of rubble that was carted off. And where's your bomb making, where's your your remnants of proven detonation of an explosion? There had to be something left over. To this day, there's never even talked about. Of course, because see, that's the thing. Now, I'm not discounting the 9/11 truthers. I'm not saying that, but you see, if you get into a discussion with some of these people and you ask something like that, they're going to go like this. They're going to go, "Yeah, you're not one of us. You're not one of us. You believe this and that." You see, and that's the problem. And then if I go and talk to my friend, you know, that he's on the side, he goes, "It's all conspiracy theory." So like here I am, like I'm asking questions, like I'm trying to, and there's nobody. I think there was one published report, like through scientists or something, trying to like figure out how these buildings came down. Like one from like, and then there was the NIST, you know, the National Institute Safety Board, whatever the paper. I mean, you're how could something like this big, these events happen, and there's like no video proof of anything, or there's nothing really clear? Yeah, it's all taken away. They don't want you seeing anything. They don't want anybody getting any ideas. Seeing anything, getting any ideas, how are you supposed to research and definitive proof of what happened? You can't. You can't, because it's all taken away very quickly. And then so the 9/11 truthers go taken away because conspiracy theory. They knew what they were doing. Who knew? You know, the military, they knew. They knew. There's like there was a group of like people that you know, flew the planes in there, like a military thing. Where's the, you know, there's no proof. There's no way to conduct research on something that that you don't have access to be able to, you know, to be able to research. And so like, you know, I'm sorry, this guy, he's just, you know, he's not bonehead, he's close, but he's like, I saw it live. I saw the plane go into the Pentagon. You know, the one that flew in there. I saw it on television. I go, there was no, they didn't show anything on. I watched the thing and I tried to research this to anything. There's no clear video of that. You know, so those little pieces, there are guys walking off with pieces that look like it was from an American Airlines or something like that. You know, David Icke in his book in the Trigger, I have it. I read it. He said no, it was like a not a drone, but like a Predator type missile or something that went in there. That's to explain. There's no like there's no there's no evidence of anything because of the speed that the plane was flying in. And nobody, I've never heard anybody say, man, that guy must have been one hell of a pilot to fly it like right. It came in perfectly to where it didn't even touch the grass and hit that building like a missile. I mean, that takes incredible talent to be able to do that. No one did anything like that because it's not true. We don't know anything of anything because there's no proof of anything. Now, according to the Akron Beacon Journal, I don't know where I read this, but I read that according to them, they said no, those planes were diverted and they were landed at Cleveland Hopkins or whatever like that. Where's the fucking planes? Where are those people? If that's the case. And there was a National Geographic episode where it says, no, is it possible? They try to entertain the theory that no, there were other planes that it was diverted behind. I watched the thing where they talked about that, but they didn't they didn't really research and they didn't really explain the theories behind a dummy plane that was going the same course. They never really explain in detail of anything because there's no proof of anything. No proof of anything. No proof of anything. No proof of anything. I know I said that 3 times already, but my point is like you can't get, it's like trying to solve a Rubik's Cube if you don't know the algorithm. More than one. But if you don't know those algorithms, it's impossible. It's impossible. There's too many combinations. It cannot be solved without knowing the steps. I just, it's amazing that nobody, like now Alex Jones, some of these people, see, the thing is, like, I'll listen to whatever, and I'll take from it from what it is. But a lot of these people, they're not really looking to solve like any of these questions. None of them. None of them. I listen to Coast all the time. I listen to all these fucking people. And you know what they do? They beat around the bush is what they do. They beat around the bush. They don't really, because I know, they don't want to. They know, like, if they don't want to ruffle any feathers. They don't want to ruffle any feathers. And it's real easy to do that. People get really defensive when you go, what do you mean? You're saying that, we did 9/11. That what do you mean, our country? You're not proud of the American? See, fucking, see, that's you're talking to Nimrods. Like people that their minds are so, they don't, it's swimming in delusion. They don't understand that the only thing constant is change. And what happened was, like, that it's very possible that all of these things that happened, it's not the same. It's just not the same country like you grew up with. Jesse Ventura made some excellent points about this. I'm not saying everything he says is 100% right. I'm not saying. But you're a fool if you don't have an open mind and don't think there's things that take place and that happen that that defy, that you wouldn't believe, that are behind, that I mean, there was a Disney, was it Little Mermaid, where the artists, in the background, there was like a castle, they knew, they drew like these dicks, these erect penises and stuff like that. They knew what they're doing, okay? They knew what they were doing. Now you wouldn't be able to make that out if you weren't an artist. You know, if it wasn't pointed out to you. But it's there, right in front of you. It doesn't matter why. The point that I made is that it's right in front of you, and you would not be able to make it out unless somebody pointed it out to you. Now the artists know about it. Anyway, that's all for now. I hope that when you open up, you're gonna learn something, and it's not, you know, it's not. A lot of things are not what they appear. They're not what they appear at all. I mean, it's just flat earthers. What happens? You go off the end of the earth, you fall off. Why are they